I have my own startup. Its name is Global Creative Hub, and what I do is I empower young learners.
I made a Flappy Bird game with AI, which where the Flappy eventually can do the game itself.
You can see the people who will master AI, who will make it serve their needs, they will actually be maybe the richest people in history.
I go with the word fate, which is like fairness, accountability, transparency, and explainability.
Hello, and welcome back to the Teens in AI podcast. In today's very special episode, I talked with 7 amazing young people from around the world who just participated in Teens in AI Ada Lovelace Hackathon. I also talked with 3 of their amazing mentors to gain insights into their hopes, fears, and ideas in the world of AI and tech. I started by asking the participants and mentors to explain some of the projects they developed throughout the hackathon.
I'm Emily, I'm from the Netherlands, I'm 18 years old currently. So our challenge was related to mental and physical health. And we chose this challenge because in this challenge we could focus on the COVID-19 pandemic, which we thought was really relevant. So we really like to do something in that field. What we did is we made an app for people to see where there will be, what dangerous places are. So there's a heat map actually in our app, in which you can see what areas have a high infection rate, and we decide on which areas have a high infection rate using AI.
My name is Tahi and I live in London. I am 11 years old. Our team did mental health. We're making an app designed for autistic people that helps them improve their communication skills and reduces their stress levels.
I am Arman. I'm from Kazakhstan. I'm 17. So we've chosen the field of mental health issues, and our application is called Mood App, which uses natural language processing, specifically the Spacey library in Python, which allows users. It's a journaling app, so users can take note in it, and as they take notes, the application, the program analyzes their writing, and based on that, it can identify what people, places, and events have influence on your mood, and like to what extent this influence is significant, what kind of influence is that positive or negative, or maybe something specific like being with this person, with person X, brings you joy, but being with person B makes you feel unsafe.
So I'm Johnny. I'm living in Aberdeen. So my team is working on an app called Rewrite, which is tackling the education challenge, and it's designed to help students with different abilities to learn easier and quicker through an app which customizes their learning and allows them to go ahead at their own pace.
I asked the participants what they thought some of the biggest challenges they identified during the hackathon were, and what the biggest challenges would be that our generations would have to tackle in the future of AI and tech.
I think that the biggest challenges are going to be again with bias, because of, if the data set has more people of a certain type, then there was going to be bias. And I think that that's also partially due to the fact that I think there need to be more people of colour, or more people who are women in the tech sector, because then, Because, for example, there's lots of times where you hear about products or algorithms that are being trained and there's like something being done, but they might only take into account like a certain amount of people, a certain type of people, because those are the type of people who are like making the product.
I'm really kind of frightened of that. It's like the inequality it will bring, because you can see the people who will master AI, who will make it serve their needs, they will actually be maybe the richest people in history of the humankind, because you have so much processing power. You will in one your box and one your electronic box, you have the brain power of a company with 10,000 employees, and like this will bring massive I would even say unseen opportunities for growth, and eventually for uncontrolled growth, which can both be positive and negative, depends on who directs it. So I think that inequality will definitely be one of the key challenges. The future is already here, but it's not it's unevenly distributed, because in some parts of the world we have people without not even without access to the internet, but without access to electricity, and in other parts of the world we have maybe flying cars in just a few years. That's what like it looks like to me, and we definitely need to address this divide, which will be exacerbated by the AI more in schools, in public spaces, in television. I think that's an underrated potential problem.
I think biases are really a problem still in AI, because AI is often trained not by a very diverse group of people and not on a very diverse data set. For example, you see it in face recognition, which works way better for for white men than for black women. And that is because it's trained on data sets which contain about 70% men or something, or at least contain more pictures of white men than black women. And another thing is that we often can't see what makes the AI make the decision. Because there are so many neural networks inside there doing things we have no clue about. So in that case, we need to know what the AI is doing and know why it comes to a certain decision.
I asked the mentors the same question to try and understand the difference in opinions across the generations of the biggest challenges that face us in tech and AI.
The idea of responsibility and creating something responsibly is really important, and which is why I really liked how much conversation about ethics went in here in each of these projects, because at the end of the day, all our actions and what we create at the end of the day for the society really needs to be responsible, something that's thought through, something that's thought carefully, something that is for everyone's benefit, and instilling those values is really important.
So the biggest challenge that kids are going to have right now is starting to think about, how can I solve the problem that I'm imagining in a way that is actually supportive of the values that we want to have as a society. If we want to solve a problem like the problems that Black Lives Matter is trying to address, we need to try and do it in a way that is going to it absolutely is going to make money, but it's also going to solve the problem in a comprehensive way. And that's going to require a lot, again, feedback and communication. reaching out to the right people, getting consulting the different groups of people who are passionate about it, probably on both sides to some degree, but also keeping focused on the fact that the problem here is where the pain is.
The biggest challenge is like this is we are living in a digital era where the information is just exploding. Every day when you get onto the system, get onto the internet, you see like it's your even though our brain is like a sponge, it absorbs so much information. It's like you feel like we take all this information. How responsible are we in order to design that technology? Not just making a responsible AI product, but if it is just any technology you take, how are we? I go with the word fate, which is like fairness, accountability, transparency, and explainability. If it is related to AI, so how we do those four things, how we adopt it if we are going to build an AI model, and at the same time, if it is any technology you take, not just to look at end-to-end solution when you deliver the product, but also making sure whether we have applied the ethics in general.
It was interesting that all three mentors separately agreed that responsible AI was the biggest challenge that young people would face, whereas none of the teens mentioned that. I then asked the participants what they thought the key reasons should be that we build AI and what key things we should be tackling when we aim to build useful and ethical tech.
I have maybe somewhat controversial opinion, but I think that AI can be built and should be built and should be researched even if it does not bring any significant value for the betterment of humanity. Because let's take arts or fine arts or paintings. If we look at them practically, they actually don't have any meaning or contribution for the betterment of humanity, but no one will say that arts is not important, that artists are not important people. So we're doing that for the sake of it because we enjoy the process and creativity. And in AI, I think that's also applicable because just exploring the like the sheer possibility of building something intelligent that can at least compare to our own level, I think that's fascinating on its own, and it's a goal worth pursuing even without like real world application. But of course there will be some applications. Every technology has intended applications or maybe even unintended ones, such as like you develop something and someone else thought, we can use this in economics or in trade or in marketing, something like this.
The biggest motivations for us should be to benefit our community in any way that we can through AI, because after all of the stuff that we do is to benefit our community and make the world a better place. So we should use AI in a more positive way and to help others who really need it, and to build something that could help us more in life and do something that can change the world.
I think the reason we should build AIs is to solve societal issues and help ourselves, actually. So their AI are better in some tasks than we humans can be, but also some tasks are very not for humans really nice to do, and then AI can help them. Some examples of what cases I think AI is really useful is in the healthcare industry, where you have the scans of people, like just a scan, and then AI can do some of the recognizing if someone has a certain disease, or maybe say these 30 scans are high probability, and then a human checks it, and then the other 100 scans that have nothing, it can exclude them.
I asked the mentors what advice they would have for teens and for any young adult trying to solve these problems and include these reasons for building responsible and ethical AI.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think everybody's different, and they always tell you. I'm sure you learned it. I can see the books behind you. You know, you got to follow your interests. You have to follow stories. You have to follow where your heart leads you in terms of learning these skills. And the hard part, actually, and oftentimes, is to get kids to sit down and actually spend enough time with a skill and learn it really well. Doesn't matter what it is, but if you're doing it really well and achieve a certain level, then you actually can apply that in so many different contexts. We can't just bounce around from one thing to another. There is a point at which we do need to just focus on whatever we really love so that we can get amazing at it. They should be looking for the problems they want to solve. If they look for those problems, they will be naturally drawn to the people and companies who are also trying to solve that problem, and therein they will find a lot of the passion and the people who will also help them to achieve that dream.
What I would like to see is like they need to have that solid logic thinking base, that programming base that they need to have. And once that is solid and they know how to brainstorm and do that, so they need so the combination of when if they are coming into AI, they need to have that statistical background with a strong math, because they need to do the probability regression models, everything. And also they need to have a solid foundation of the computer science principles. If they don't have that, where there is the basic programming, once they have these couple of things, then it is easy for them to move forward. If they are going to take a career in computer science or in business or anything that is related to tech and AI, if they are planning to do, they need to also do some side projects in order to make sure that they are trying to what they learn in class, in the classroom, they are applying that and understood. It's not like you need to develop 10 different projects, but even if you do couple of projects that you have really put in your mind into it and done it right from the analysis phase up until the implementation phase. So you will feel proud of, okay, this is what I really know. I'm not, my career is undecided. I really know what I'm doing, what I am sought after.
To finish the episode, I asked the participants and mentors what scares and excites them most about the future of AI.
My hope really is that we would be able to blend in AI into our lives in a beneficial way, in which we are actually able to be better human beings for each other. My fear, well, it is that, throughout ages, when we don't take care of who we are and how we are, throughout the ages, throughout history, we've done horrendous things. And so the fear is that we will do horrendous things even in future if we haven't taken care of who we are and how we are that.
So what scares me is a little bit if like there are large tech companies that just start making more algorithms without consulting like the ethics side of things, because like we're taught here, we're getting told about ethics and how it's important, and a lot of places you only get taught about like, this is the tech, this is the algorithm, that's about it. You don't really, especially like in schools and stuff, you hear more about the tech, and then the actual ethics and stuff you don't really hear about that much. So I feel like if in the future, if these tech giants, like these companies just start like ignoring the ethics side of things, that would be something that would scare me. But then again, I'm also quite excited by the fact that with AI, there's like so many different like uses. Like just in the hackathon, like you could be tackling education or climate change or mental health, or they're all different types of things. So I'm quite excited to see like where it goes next, and see like what the next like big thing is in AI, and like what the next field is that AI is used in and that AI like kind of helps to make better?
I actually think it's the same thing that both excites me and scares me. It's just the potentiality that someday there will be intelligent beings that are not humans. It's like it excites you because wow, we've advanced so much in science that we can build consciousness from nothing. But like at the same time, it scares me because you don't know what these creatures will be like, and it's not even that you don't know or you can predict. You can't even imagine what their thinking will be like, and it's the unknown that scares people the most, I think, and so do I. I'm scared about that, and both excited about that.
Maybe that jobs in the future might be taken away because the AI will be replacing them, and also AI could, once there's lots of AI, they could basically reproduce themselves, and they could just say, I don't want the human race anymore, so they might just destroy us at one point.
I think what excites me, of course, is the potential for how we can learn and make better decisions. Mm-hmm. I honestly do think that AI has the potential to help us make much better, actually, bias-free decisions in many ways. Certainly reducing, it's never bias-free as long as there are humans involved, but reducing the bias that we see. Certainly a lot of the decisions, if you take the human element out of it, it's hard to be racially biased if you're just looking at the data, unless the data itself has been gathered in a biased way. So I think we do have to learn a lot more. And I think people are also, there's a way that people talk about AI, like it's this kind of magic art, and it puts people off. They don't want to talk about it. It's like this thing. I don't know it. I don't understand it. I'm not a coder. I don't want to talk about it. But the more people that understand what we're really talking about, the more that we can share the process of how things go, the easier it will be for everyone to contribute to it and to feel a little less scared. Ultimately, however, just like any technological improvement, I think what we've seen over the last few years is that people are scared about technology, and even though it makes things efficient, and even though it removes labor and smooths out processes, people lose their jobs and livelihoods as a result, and they're not going to get retrained as fast as you think. And even if they did get retrained, that job itself is probably going to go away or get changed in some significant way, within their lifetimes. And so we have to figure out how to evolve our society from a people work with their hands to people work with their minds to people actually don't work. Mm-hmm. And how are we going to create value? How are people going to contribute and feel feel the satisfaction of contributing when actually they're removed from having to do the day-to-day work?
Thank you for listening to this week's very special episode, featuring the voices, thoughts, and opinions of 7 amazing young people and their 3 incredible mentors. Tune in next week as we talk to Kate Callott in a very special episode recognising the importance of Black History Month and the ways in which social biases can creep into AI and algorithms.